Good morning, everyone. So wonderful to see so many faces on such a beautiful morning and a gift of a day where we have our dear Lama Surya Das, who will be leading and teaching today, as you all know. Lama told a story years ago about how in Tibet, the most special relationship with your Lama is a Lama who's 2 valleys away. And I feel like we've had the experience this year of a Lama who is 2 valleys away, as he has been in his rewirement. And so it just makes these moments where he joins us so much sweeter. I am excited for him to lead us and for us to be in communion together. I encourage you all, as you're taking in the teachings and as you're listening and as questions come up, to really focus the questions, because some of us may be here because we have a question already before he's begun. But I really encourage you to sit with your question and have it be related to your practice, related to what he teaches on today. And if you have questions about what's happening in the world, what we would ask of you is that you focus the question on how you relate to what's happening in the world, how you relate through your practice to what's happening in the world, and not the events themselves, because that's really what we're here to do, right? We're here to work with ourselves and our minds and our hearts. I also will encourage you to continue to support Lama Surya and the Dzogchen Foundation in his work and his transmission. While he's 2 valleys away right now, he is working hard to continue to bring the Dharma to all of us. He's writing, he's praying, he's practicing, and we are continuing the Dzogchen Foundation activities through Sunday Town Hall, and we have some exciting announcements coming up soon. So we'll put the link in the chat. Thank you always for your loving presence, and with that, I'll turn it over to our dear Lama. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly of Garrison, New York. Thanks very much. And all of you who helped today get set up, Menla and Dory and my assistant Patrick, etc. And all of you. I was thinking about what to talk about today. And I think, first of all, it's a good time to get together in the spirit and not just in our minds or words or thoughts or analysis. And the difficulties of the time, but to do a little practice to warm up, and I'll do a little guiding, and then a few remarks, and then we'll have some Q&A, which I think is such an important part of Western Buddhism. So buckle up, friends. Or as I like to say, meditate as fast as you can. I love it. The Bodhisattva prayers in the beginning of the prayer book that we always do, or some combination of them, arising the altruistic, compassion and action, bodhicitta of the Bodhisattva, the spiritual awakener, the servant leader, the Bodhisattva, the Buddha to be. That, nope. Could you go further, Dory? Yangchub Semchok Rinpoche. Okay, I don't know what happened to that one. Go back and we'll take one's the beginning.
It's a little further up there before.
All prayers are heard even before they're said, and the blessings are already on the way, as they say. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the fully awakened, perfectly enlightened teacher, the compassionate Buddha. Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami, Dudiyampi for the second time, Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami for the third time. I take refuge in the enlightened Buddha. I take refuge in the sublime Dharma teaching and practice. I take refuge in the exalted Sangha community. From now until reaching perfect Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings without exception, I shall practice the six paramitas, perfections, wholeheartedly, day and night. Yes. Just first arriving, then settling, then releasing. 3 steps of natural meditation. You must be present to win. First, arriving. Collect your scattered thoughts or energy or physical sensations and feelings. Arriving in the room, on your seat, in your body, in the fullness, let's say the heart, not the heart organ, in the fullness of one's being, in the center, the still center of the turning wheel, the universe, time, space, and consciousness. The still axis at the center of the turning axle, at the center of the turning wheel. The central channel, the central column, the navel chakra, wherever you feel it, just sitting, just breathing, just being, having arrived, settling into that, resting in awareness itself, pure presence, Rigpa, Buddha mind, Rigpa, pure presence, just presencing, awareing, mindfuling, here and now. Pay attention, it pays off. How sweet it is. Nothing more to do, figure out, remember, or accomplish. Imaho. Wondrous, miraculous, amazing. Naked awareness itself. The authentic Buddha within. Just sitting, just breathing, just being, the 3 jewels, the 3 refuges of the Buddhist meditator. Just sitting, just breathing, just being. Nowness awareness is the authentic, unfabricated Buddha within, as the Rinpoche sang. Nowness awareness, presencing, letting go, letting be. That's the secret. Letting go means letting things come and go, not suppressing them. Letting be. Nimo. Yes, thank you. Yes. You see you. Do you see you? Seeing is freeing. Thinking about it produces chains of discursive thought. You get tangled up in just seeing now and now and now, every moment fresh. Awareness, aware of awareness, an unfragmented and non-dual totality awareness. Buddha, our mind, the view, Buddha nature, whatever you call it, it's even more sweet. Resting in that, being that, allowing that to proceed unhindered and unmanipulated, beyond meditation and non-meditation, just being is freeing. Emo. Breathing in, calming the heart and mind. As Thich Nhat Hanh says, breathing out, relaxing, smiling. Smiling yoga relaxes every bone in the body. As Thich Nhat Hanh says, how silly. Ah, We were practicing naked awareness, non-dual awareness meditation. Dzogchen, Trekchud, it's called seeing through, being through, cutting through. Now let's close the eyes if they're not closed already, and let's look deeper. Look into the infinite sky, in the radiance in the back of your eyelids, if you want to look at it that way. I call it seeing through your eyelids into the clear light of the Dharmakaya, of the infinite, of the divine. Whatever you call it, it's even more sweet. Again, eyes closed, but sky gazing into the infinite space of awareness, of luminosity. Is it really black in there, dark? Can you see the shimmering? My Lama said that's the shimmering of the Dharmakaya, the clear light, iridescence of the Buddha mind. Gazing into it, kind of focusing on the light, releasing out into it, breathing out into it, going into it, letting go, letting be. Infinitely large and infinitely infinitesimal, small, at the same time and beyond such polarities. Let the light illumine itself. You, you the Buddha within, the Buddha, the. Breathing out into the light, focus on the light, sky gazing through your closed eyelids into the infinite, luminous space of awareness. Breathe out into the light, breathe in out of the light, and go beyond outer and inner, self and other. Just letting go, letting come and go, letting be in the flow. Great Tao flowing through you right now. Imo. You don't have to try to get into the Tao, the flow. It's flowing through you right now. And how? Imo. Yes. Thank you. I love it. watching everything pass by like a show, arising and dissolving like ripples on the stream or waves on the sea. Letting go, letting come and go, letting be. That's the way of non-attachment, of pure presence, non-reactive, choiceless, mindful awareness. Letting be as is in the great perfection of things just left just as they are. There is great peace in things left just as they are. So let go, let be, be, being, being, Buddha. Jampu Samcho Rinpoche, Makye Panang Gyuchi, Kepa Nyampa Mipoyon, Kane Kandu Bawasho. Jamcho Samcho Rinpoche, Marqué pendant que Dieu qui est pas nyampa me pas yon kone kandu pelwa show. That's okay, Dory. Forget about it. In English, the Millennium Prayer. May all beings everywhere with whom we are inseparably interconnected and who want the need the same as we do. May all be happy, liberated, content, fulfilled, and free. May there be peace in this world and an end to war and violence, and conflict, hatred, and oppression. And may we all together complete the spiritual journey. Aho, way to go. Thank you. About prayer in Buddhism, some people say there's not prayer in Buddhism because it's a non-theistic religion, but that's not really accurate. Anyway, the only book on it is in English by Thich Nhat Hanh called Prayer. You could look it up. Interesting. What is the metta practice except the prayer? May all beings be happy. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be liberated. That's called praying. But the question of who Buddhists pray to, now that's a question to chew on. But you should ask the questions. I've asked mine. Anyway, I was introducing and leading and practicing together, co-meditating, intermeditating, co-meditating together on the Dzogchen natural meditation, as I call it, Tregchud, literally cutting through duality. cutting through clinging and attachment, treasured, seeing through duality, clinging and attachment, being through, throughly, being, no matter what you're doing, feeling, and thinking. That's the practice, coming home to ourself, to our 3 foot square garden, as my erstwhile neighbor here in Massachusetts, Henry David Thoreau, said, cultivating my 2 meter square garden. The Bodhisattva has the intention to make the world a better place and alleviate suffering and help people and awaken together and so on. Still, we've been so outward our whole lives with our education and our, let's say, materialistic society. But where's the balance point? Where's the interiority? There's a great lack of privacy, of silence, and interiority today. Is there not in this over-information age, the social media age, or whatever you call it? So coming home to ourselves, focusing, concentrating, relaxing, arriving, settling, being, and then ratcheting up the awareness factor, acute, present, clear, precise awareness either of your breath or whatever your object of meditation might be, or awareness of awareness itself, which is more subtle, non-dual awareness practice, openness and awareness, more subtle, advanced Dzogchen type practice, Mahamudra and Dzogchen, if you want to be more inclusive. So this helps me a lot, especially in these days where there's a lot going on, and I'm not in a long retreat or in a Tibetan monastery in the Himalayas or in the forest somewhere, or even here in the Green Mountains of Vermont, or getting away from with all the beaches and lakes that I frequently frequent. Don't ask me why. I love it. But it brings balance into my life. Nature helps nurture us. And then, action and learning and relations and activism and the bodhisattva virtues of generosity and all the rest come more naturally and more, let's say, easily. It's simple. It's not that easy, but more easily, naturally. And we can give ourselves and our time and lend a shoulder and lend an ear, not just to give a check to a charity and then forget about it the rest of the week. So interestingly enough, the first vow or the first precept, the first paramita of the Bodhisattva vow, the 10 paramitas, is generosity. Isn't that interesting? Not the monk, Buddha's a monk, but the first one is not morality, ethics, self-discipline. That's the second paramita or perfection or Panacean virtue on the Buddhist path, generosity. And rather than talk about dana and donating or giving medicine and clothes and help and succor and protection, it's said that the deepest form of generosity is self-giving, is letting go, self-forgetting, the Christian mystics would call it, which is not necessarily mindlessness, the opposite of mindfulness, but self-giving, self-forgetting, like unconditional love. Hopefully, perhaps how you love your children unconditionally, regardless of what happens, without giving, without strings attached, without transactionalism, like trading and trying to get the best part of the deal, but giving all that you can because you truly love them unconditionally, no matter what they do, pretty much. That's the idea. And that's divine love, unconditional love, true love, not just lust, not just selfishness laced love, but unconditional love, being there totally. It may be said that the ultimate form of dana or noble generosity, noble giving, is non-attachment, letting go, letting be. But there's even a subtler form in the commentaries called pure presence or Rigpa, just being, no longer in the dualistic realm of helping and harming or up and down or karma. Just being pure presence, which is why I stress presencing, not just mindfulness, not to mention closed-mindedness or closed mindfulness, contraindicated. Pure presence, Rigpa, read Namkhai Nobu Rinpoche's books. He translates Rigpa as presence, not as awareness, like everybody else does. And he was in the West longer than any other born in Tibet Lama expert. Nobu Rinpoche, who was 20 books, who died recently in Italy. I call it presencing, the practice and art of presence, rather than being absent-minded or out to lunch, as we say, or living at a little distance from our body, like Leopold Bloom. So that's the meditation we did today. And that's the main Dzogchen meditation, according to me and to many. Of course, it's a little adapted from all the foreign words, the Sanskrit and Tibetan terms and all that we usually find adopted for us today. Old wine, ancient, timeless wisdom wine in new bottles, like California wine from the French roots of the French vines, grown in Napa or somewhere where the weather is more or less the same, and you can pretty much get the same kind of wine. I hope Bertrand, our French member, is not here. Otherwise, I'm going to be hearing from him, I'm sure. Yes, wine is part of the spiritual life, even in Buddhism, in the feast offerings and other things. Don't worry. So, how do I deal with the currents of current events and being bombarded by the news and the noise and the speed and the toxicity and the lies and the spins and the confusion, not to mention the hating? That's a new word for us. The haters, the hating. Holy crap. And even worse than that, the violence, even being condoned and pardoned. But I don't want to go into all that. Just to say, how do I deal with it? And maybe you're wondering too. Plenty of people ask me how I deal with it. Do I watch the news? Do I read the papers? And I have to put quotes around that these days. There's so many ways to read those things, not just on paper. I take the middle way approach. I pay a certain amount of attention, yes. In a way, it's unavoidable unless I really go into a cloister or cave like I used to in the 70s and 80s. But the middle way, I go in my meditation room and do just like we did this morning with some chants, with setting the Bodhisattva intention, and then with the awareness meditation, and then a little chance of loving kindness and compassion and healing going out at the end of the hour or two. But then during the day, what about the rest of 24, 23, like 22 hours of the day? Yes, there's some sleeping. So what about the rest of the 14 hours of the day? I don't know. Don't worry about the arithmetic. You know what I always say, try to see the 3/4 of the glass that's full, not the half that's empty. So don't worry about the arithmetic or even the precise facts when you're listening to me these days. But the spirit of the thing is what's important. Being more relaxed and open and flowing and, to use the current buzzword, resilient, not brittle, not giving up, resilient, bending, yielding like the bamboo, like the grass to the wind, not breaking. There's a great principle of the Tao, the flow, the Tao Te Ching. Check it out. Much recommended. The Tao Te Ching, translated by Stephen Mitchell. Best translation. So I have been working on, let's just pick up this part because I think it's something that might be possibly a little new, but certainly helpful. Anger, hatred, by extension, bitterness or resentment, but anger and hatred, and coming out of the great divisiveness and problems that we can see all around us today, but which are actually part of samsara and have always been going on to some degree or other. Us and them, war, emotions up and down that we judge good and bad, and chasing the rainbow and, not liking storm. I think there was a song once, if I remember correctly, which is questionable. There's no rain without some clouds, something like that. Anyway, to start somewhere, mindful anger management, observing the feeling arising in meditation or in your life. Let's say in meditation, to keep it simple, maybe you think of something or somebody does something or there's a noise outside and it arises your ire or it just irritates you. The person in front of you in the group is moving or sneezing. I mean, there's no end to the things that could irritate me. What about you? I'm tempted to call you names just to get your full attention, but this is not the decade for that. I don't want to get sued. Also, there's no point with names. Just spirituality is about oneself and all of us, but beginning with oneself, cultivating your own garden, one's own anger and aversion, attraction, attachment, and aversion. It's really the same. It's a form of attachment. I want, greed, lust, desire. I don't want, aversion, anger, hatred. It's the same. It's like an automatic door opening and closing. It's like dancing forward and backward. It takes two to tangle, whatever, like Velcro, hooks and rings. If you don't provide the hook, the ring doesn't. If you don't provide the ring, the hook doesn't get anything. So at the moment of arising, let's talk meditation. This could happen in life, take a moment of mindfulness and notice what's happening in your body. But in meditation, notice where the emotion is rising. Maybe like I feel it in my stomach and lower stomach. And breathe and relax and smile. You don't have to think about it. Oh, I shouldn't be angry. Not to mention just being angry and projecting it on others. But we're dealing with uprooting one's own aversion, hatred, anger. Just feeling it in your body. And by putting your attention there, I think it lets off some of the pressure from the building, bubble, balloon, Mount Vesuvius of anger held down or kept and then let out unconsciously. So first, take a breath and notice where it is in your body. I have to keep emphasizing this. It's not just about the mind. In your body, feel it, and it will redirect your attention, which can change the atmosphere of your world right then, of your conscious awareness. And then second, how you process it. Does it go away? If you're trying to get it to go away, that's just more aversion, which is anger. I don't want it. The opposite of desire, undesire. So we could go into this a lot, and I've written about this, and you could look more into this mindful anger management. Of course, we could talk about healthy processing of anger and not suppressing it, but not indulging it. There's a lot we could say about this that's more sophisticated, psychological, therapeutic, etc. This is really not the time. Also, I don't really see any angry people. Oh, yeah, no, I see one. Anyway, never mind. Not going to call you out, Island Mon, or anybody. Oh, I love you. You guys, it's so nice to see you all. But what I want to share is my own a little secret. I think I learned this in the 3 year, 3 months, 3 lifetime retreat that I was in, where you're with a small group and you might not have chosen to live with them for 3.5 years. And you get to love everybody because you know where they're coming from, what they're struggling with, even the ones you might not like or have certain affinity for, like from different countries, different cultures, different genders, different belief systems, different hangups. You know, I don't think you can like everybody, but you can love everybody. On the other hand, it's easier to love everyone. It's so abstract than to love someone. Again, balance the macrocosm and the microcosm, as above, some below, so below. So I found, and I'm not going to belabor this about where I learned this and what I've been doing since then. Those are treats that I did in the 80s. Um, the Tibetan mind training attitude transformation practice called Lojong, attitude transformation, unselfishness, etc., is very, very powerful, but also a little scary. So I'm not going to go into the tantric parts and taking on the suffering and breathing in the darkness and breathing out the light. And many of you know this. We can read about it. I want to focus on one part of it, which is called exchanging self and others. This is not about giving yourself away, abdicating responsibility, disassociation, as psychology might call it. Exchanging self and others, equalizing self and others. For example, you can practice it by breathing together, from breathing together or talking together or exchanging a glance all the way to cosmic lovemaking and all that. But in between is all of life and all the different relations that we have. What 1 + 1 = oneness. A half plus a half doesn't equal oneness in this mathematics. Being whole and authentic oneself, one can have whole and authentic relations, maybe even with another whole and authentic person, not just being bent out of shape and trying to find the other bent out of shape that fits into our bentness. Although that's possible too and goes on and works to a certain extent. But I want to emphasize this, seeing where others are coming from, exchanging oneself and others, equalizing self and others. What others want, we want, no matter how different we think they are. Whoever our enemies, foes, competitors, etc., are here in our family, in our neighborhood, in our world, on the other side of the world, in other political parties, etc., other religions, other ways of thinking, even in the family. We had a great divide in my nuclear family between the chocolates and the vanillas. My father's half wanted vanilla, and the other four of us, the other half wanted chocolate. It was a tremendous partisan divide. We had him heavily outnumbered, but he didn't back down because he knew it didn't matter. It's like watching the baseball playoffs. It's so much fun, and you root for a team. You don't root for just anybody, but it really doesn't matter. It's a game. Just a judgment. It's just a habit. So ratcheting it up to hate and anger, which devolves into violence, which is the big problem. We can catch it at the level of where it's arising and realize others want the same as we do. The people in China, just to mention, the other side of the world, or I don't know, Iran, whoever, they care about their home and their family and their children and their parents and their bit of the earth, and so their beliefs as much as we do, besides which flavor or color or ism it is. So evening it out, oneself and others, exchanging oneself and others. How? Try to see it where they're coming from. And I don't mean all the people in China. I mean whoever you have, a difficulty with. We call it the difficult person. I hesitate to use the word enemy. If you listen to traditional teachings, even the Dalai Lama, who's so modern and astute, in English, he says, the enemy is the best teacher. So I don't like to use the word enemy. It's a little fixed and harsh. But the unwanted, it could be a person, but it could be a disease. The unwanted is the best teacher. Otherwise, we just get out of balance, spoiled, always get what we want. Like children, they have to have some boundaries, or sometimes saying no to children is affirmative. Good for them, necessary. The Native Americans have a saying, if you want to know where a person, of course, they say man. If you want to know where a person is coming from, walk a mile in their shoes, their moccasins. It means try to see through their eyes. Where are they coming from? That they, they have a different view on this subject from that angle, wouldn't they? Shouldn't they? But more innerly, how were they brought up? What's the belief system? What are the limitations? Whatever. And not judging, just like trying to accurately discern and observe. Of course, somebody brought up in those other countries far from us in other religions that we never even knew about till this last century or something. They have different views. They see things differently, not just beliefs or rituals or customs or skin color, different views. Of course. Can we even see a little bit through their eyes and not just have a non-negotiable, uncrossable chasm, gulf? I came up with a new joke. I don't know if you know, but Judy Ricci, who's here somewhere in the crowd, my lovely cartoonist collaborator, and we have 150 cartoons, black and white, done now. So I've been making these jokes and thinking about things for like this. So does anybody know why the Dalai Lama crossed the road? To cross the partisan divide. That's the kind of joke that I like. And that's us. Who can cross the partisan divide between me and you, between self and other, between the parts of me that I like and the parts of me that I don't like? This is not just about political parties. So can you see through the eyes of the other? How could those people do that? How could they believe that? What about oneself? How could you? Of course, you have to stand up for yourself and your beliefs, but with a pinch of salt. Like the Red Sox and Yankees have a tremendous rivalry here. Ever since Babe Ruth abandoned us for Broadway. And I'm not joking. There's some literal truth in that about Broadway. Anyway, we just had a series and the Yankees squeaked by the Red Sox and went on to playoffs. And we were all so rabid here about Boston teams, but it's only because we're here. When I grew up on Long Island and Joe Namath won the big upset of the Super Bowl, we were all rooting for the New York Jets because I lived there. What the heck? But who cares? It was a good time for all. It was a good game. So some people would even say that life is just a game or a theater or like a dream, like a fantasy, like a mirage, like a sitcom, like a play. I'm quoting Buddhist scriptures. Some people would say that, but that's maybe too much to say on that side about illusion, because if you poke yourself with a sharp or hot thing, it definitely hurts. And you definitely want to stop doing that. What kind of, how much of illusion and how much of real is that? That's pretty gritty and real. So we have a lot of loss in life. It's real enough. And like a nightmare. It may be like a dream, but it's like a nightmare sometimes when you have big loss. So where is the other person coming from? And we can kind of see that if we really work at it. And I see time is running. This is important to me to tell. You won't find this in Buddhist books somehow. Like Tara Brach has a huge successful teaching and bestseller called Radical Acceptance. You almost didn't see this in Buddhist books. You see non-attachment, renunciation, non-clinging. But she put it in a positive way, positive Buddhism. Acceptance, radical acceptance. A little acceptance goes a long way to transforming the whole relationship. So my secret about this is, I don't know, there's probably nobody here that's ever seen me angry. And it's not like I hide it. And yeah, I feel it inside. As the Dalai Lama once said, he also feels something there, but then remember about the body and grounding it and watching things come and go and not dwelling on it and not hooking onto it like Velcro. I try to see where the other person's coming from and equalize. They're looking for happiness, I'm looking for happiness. They're doing their best, I'm doing their best. And then now you think of some boogie person, I don't know, a boogie man, I'm going to say, so we know what I'm talking about. Boogie person that we don't like, and you say, oh, yeah, but they're not doing the best. Really? They're doing the best according to their lights. They may not be the brightest lights, they might not be the lights we use or the color. Everybody's doing their best. You can have some bodhicitta or empathy and compassion for that just alone. Who's not doing the best they can imagine, even if they're lying and cheating and etc. So that helps, besides the physical in the moment, checking and breathing and releasing, and then processing, and then choosing how, when, and if to respond. That's mindful anger management. This helps me directly empathize, connect with, see through the separation, and realize that person is trying to get the best deal for them and their loved ones and their country and their bit of the earth, just like we are. So then there's some room for negotiation or dance or communication, co-meditation, intermeditation. What is Thich Nhat Hanh coined as a new word in Buddhism, English? Interbeing. Everything's so interconnected, interdependent, interwoven into being. So try to see where someone or some is coming from or something, like maybe it's not a person or even an animal. Maybe it's a nature phenomena or disaster. There's some reason for it, some karmic causation. It didn't just happen totally by accident. When no one to blame, exactly like it's God's will, we can't do anything about it. Like a tsunami. Yes, we can put out early warning buoys in the ocean that many miles out that give us early warnings about seismic changes underground and that typhoons or El Niños are coming. Or we can ignore it. And big surprise. So that's what I was thinking about today, and that helps me a lot in these times. Ram Dass used to put the person he was the most angry at in the 60s on his altar or dresser so he could start to get used to noticing how he impulsively reacts to them and how he could work on loving them, even though he doesn't like what they're doing or their policies. This is something you can practice too with the so-called enemy or the unwanted. In those Lojong or attitude transformation mind training Buddhist practices of the Mahayana Buddhism, we practice inhaling and exhaling and going equalizing outside and inside and all this. It becomes like a oneness practice, but I'm not going to go more into that. Does anybody have any questions today? Especially about these things, not necessarily something you came with before.
We do have a question that I imagine is a question many people have.
Thank you.
And I'll paraphrase here, but the question essentially is in this moment in time, in this world where there's great suffering, and we are being with the suffering and being empathetic and compassionate, how do we stop ourselves from burning out? How do we protect our
Yes,
own
that's a
energy?
great question. And many people have asked me, all my colleagues, elders, parents, and also throughout history. This is an evergreen issue about the need for balance, the need for self-knowledge and knowing how much you can take or not, like exercising, pushing yourself, but not to the point of breaking, not doing so much the first day that you can't work out again for a week. Things like that are contraindicated. But it takes a little attention, discernment, self-knowledge to know where those lines are, or having a coach, and then you do what they say. But this is not the era to talk about doing what a guru, a boss, a little red book, or a Bible says. This is the era of deconstructing those solidities and thinking, finding out for yourself. So we need a little self-knowledge, and that's what this kind of practice is all about. And from that, as I always say regarding meditation, when I get clearer, everything becomes clearer. It's not like all the wars stop, but I get clearer about what I can do and not do, or how I can help or not help, etc., or where to pitch in. Where's the crack in the Berlin Wall that I can apply a crowbar not just trying to bang on it with a sledgehammer, which wouldn't make it go down. So balance. Social activists often burn out because they're always pouring themselves into helping others and causes like world hunger, world peace that seemingly have no end or bottom. I hope that's not true, but you know what I mean. So sometimes you have to take a vacation or a weekend or be off at night and not be compulsively 24/7, obsessively work, 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 serious, serious, serious. So balance the middle way, which is what Buddha called his teaching, but also practically the middle way, not everything and nothing, always and never. When you hear those words, it's like a red flag. And it's usually totally exaggerated. Not always, never, you always do this, you never do that. Never's a long time, always a long time. It's not really true. So the middle way, but the middle way has a lot of lanes. It's not just a razor's edge down the middle of the highway of awakening of life. There's a lot of different lanes, different courses for different horses. Just don't fall into the ditches on either side. Nihilism on one side and materialism, believing in solid material reality only, alone on the other side. It's a balance. Do we have another question, Kelly? I know the time's almost up, but is there a question just to get it out and everybody can hear it?
No, there's a number of requests for prayer for those who have recently passed, including a Sangha member's father who passed this morning. So just for prayer for peaceful transition.
Yes. May it be so from your mouth to Buddha's ears.
Well, thank you, Lama, not just for today, but I know I speak for everyone. He referenced his 3-year retreat. What he didn't mention is the other 6.5 years. So, while many of us have been in the material world for a long time, Lama's dedicated his life to the Dharma in order for us to receive these transmissions. And I'm forever grateful, as I know you all are. And anything that you can do to continue to support him in his rewirement. Because as I said, he's not like most of us who've been in the world making money. He relies on the Sangha to support him. So we are forever grateful for something we can't get anywhere else. We love you. Thank you.
Thank you. Love to one and all. Be well. See you soon.